You care a lot, like a lot. But no one ever asked the
Yeah,
question why. Like, why do you care so much about VR where sometimes things can drive you absolutely insane?
yeah. I mean, I guess that's like my new title. I'm the hot takes king now. I think the problem is for me, I try to get through the hyperbole, because for me, like if I do a startup, I want to feel like what I'm doing has some impact. It matters to some degree. And I see so much hyperbole in just the broad technology space right now that when I like I can try to be somewhat insightful and be like, guys, this is not the way that you think it is,
Yeah.
right? And when I said like PC VR is dead, I'm not saying, hey, you can't turn on your desktop and start playing PC VR. Like, look at the stats. Half-Life Alyx is seen as like the gold standard in our space, and it's dropping. It's dropping in usage. And that at the same time, when we're getting double-digit increases every month from the Quest, and they say, okay, part of them are churning out and building in PC VR, but I'm trying to be honest because the biggest thing that bothers me about our space is no one is fucking honest. Facebook is not honest to their developers. People are not honest to themselves. And people get into the space and they're like virtual reality, augmented reality or whatever, and they just get screwed. And then they leave and they're, selling NFTs, right? Or they're getting into crypto or something. And so a lot of these hot takes I'm trying to play the devil's advocate and be like, guys, like, or people, like,
Yeah.
what is the reality here? And sometimes I'll say kind of something edgy and it turns out, slightly wrong or it lacks nuance. I'm trying to start the conversation. And there's counterpoints to it, like, in that take specifically.
Before you
But
get into
yeah,
that take,
like,
before you get to that take, why do you care so
yeah.
much to call out the BS in VR? And I mean that in the sense of like, for example, like car dealerships full of BS, but we don't call them out because we know it and it just is, and no one really cares. Like it doesn't affect me. There's other things that we know are BS, but I'm not passionate about them. I don't care about it. I've got to assume it's all like you are bought into virtual reality. That's why it matters to you the
Because
most.
I truly care.
Yes.
Because I truly care.
Yeah.
Like if anybody knows anything about my story, I I went through a bout of depression very significantly when I was a kid. And the thing that got me out of depression, I mean, we're going, I had no idea that we're going to go here, but let's go here,
Go wherever we need
is I
to.
wrote a story called Live. And that story was about someone who woke up one day and it was like me kind of, as that character realizing I'm going to fucking die. Like the most dark thing you can possibly do. At the time, I was like very socially isolated. I had left, where I was growing up, and I wrote this story, and it was basically me writing this story, and it was acknowledging the fact that I'm gonna die, but fuck it, I'm gonna do something
Yes.
anyway, and that became a part of my identity. I tattooed "Live" down my spine. I tried it, and then on top of that, I had this character online that was named Six, and there was a larger conversation about how I had identity theft and all this other stuff. But I became called that more than myself. And so what happened is I started embodying this virtual identity more than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had identity theft, I go, you know what? I want to become this character. I want to become this kind of like metaphysical persona. Like in, World of Warcraft or online, I was fucking cool. Like I led a team of 25 people to take down dragons. That sounds super tacky, right? But
No, it
it
doesn't.
made me feel like when I was super depressed in my life that I had a fucking purpose. Because it's so hard to find purpose in life because, when we distill it down to the absolute basics, it's all bullshit. It's all dopamine hits and hormones or whatever. So when I got into virtual reality, it was, here's the first time in history that we are becoming our characters. There's no longer this juxtaposition of self and keyboard and mouse, and there's a 2D plane over here. I'm literally fucking the character. Like I have the headset on, and it's my hands, and I'm becoming this kind of like identity that I had become. So, when it comes to the decentralized space and this conversation about, gamer tags and identity and all this other stuff, I want it to be real because I felt it was real and it had a profound impact on my actual life. Not this like You know, I'm buying an NFT and I'm gonna sell it for $1 million. I fucking changed. Like I started working on it every single day. I was like, I'm gonna be strong, not just like strong in the virtual world. I'm gonna be strong in real life. And that's what kind of got me into this space, got me really dedicated into it. And that's I care.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean, dude,
you know,
I feel
so it's
you.
not just
It's
yeah.
kind of like what I think the quote. It's Gandhi, right? Isn't it Gandhi like a man starts to live only when he realizes he will die or something like that? Like you only have one life to live.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Gandhi quote. That makes sense. I think you probably resonate with most VR users. It's like when I got into it, it's like, okay, I need like I'm a person. I'm always chasing purpose, which is bad because if you're chasing purpose, it means you don't have it, and you really it's a problem. It's a life problem. But it's like, hey, this is the chance in my life to be at the ground level of something big,
Yeah.
something that's gonna change the way people live, change the way access. Like if I had known what the internet was when I heard that dial-up tone, I might have done something better in school than jerk around and have some fun. But I didn't understand how important and big this was. I do think I fully understand how big XR is going to be. And because of that, I want to protect it at all costs from becoming a dystopian future that the movies seem to think every dystopian future is going to be. I don't want that. And just like you, we got to we got to voice and fight, bring it back down to something a little more amicable. That's where I think you come from most of the time when you throw those hot takes out. It's not out of malice. It's not out of cause and controversy, like you said. It's to bring it back down to something more tangible.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen these hype cycles destroy people. You know, I lived in San Francisco, the Silicon Valley for like 8 years, and I've seen these hype cycles. And like all my stories about like Facebook, you know, copied my thing and whatever. It's like there are stories 100 times worse than mine.
Yes.
And people just don't know that. They don't know how difficult it is to be a founder, how many sacrifices you make, and how terrible some of these stories turn out. Like, you know, there's one guy that I know. I'm not going to name him, you know, for respect, but he told me the story about how he was just about to IPO his company. And then there's a certain period of time where you can't say anything, otherwise it basically destroys the whole IPO. The CEO shared something, fuck the IPO. He lost all his stock. And then because he had something in the stock market where at a certain sell point, you know, he'd lose all his stock, there was the market downturn. So then he lost all his Apple stock. So he lost all his IPO stock, he lost all his Apple stock. Then he had a fucking heart attack, and then his wife left him. You know, I was confiding with him, and I was like, you know what, I'm having a bad time. You know, and he's like, let me tell you what, Sonny. You know, it gets fucking worse.
I believe you. I mean, I listened to Guy last night too. I mean, I didn't know. I knew he had problems, but to hear it, like, that's why I thought your Twitter space was so. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sitting on my couch last night looking at a Twitter screen with people's faces. Like, that was what I was doing because it was so captivating to hear somebody. Like, I know because it drove clicks on videos with virtual desktop. Like, I know that, just like your hype cycle you're talking about. But no, not a lot of people do. And to hear it directly from his mouth, the way he said it, it's painful. It was really painful to listen to. And I can only imagine the countless other people that I don't know their name that happened to, which is, I know, where a lot of your frustration comes back. Hit that subscribe button to stay on top of the daily clips, or catch the debates and fireside chats live on the main channel down in the video description. See you next time, Space Cowboys.